In his best-selling book, Michael Gerber in the E-Myth describes, he says, think of your business as a game. And I like that because I enjoy playing games of all kind. Think of your business as a game. And he said, here are the rules for the game. So in the book, he articulates 8 rules for any business. He says, these are the rules of the game. And in your handout, you've got these 8 rules. You can fill in the blanks as I go through them with you. The first rule is never try to figure out what your people want, what you want your people to do, and then try to create a game out of it. Never try to figure out what you want your people to do, and then try to create a game out of it. Instead, what Gerber suggests is create the game first, and then find individuals who want to and will excel at that game. Don't find people and then try to figure out the game. Figure out the game and then find the right people. Number 1. Rule number 2, never create a game for your people that you're unwilling to play yourself. I've seen this from time to time, that there's one set of rules for this group of employees, maybe another set of rules for this group, and a whole different set of rules for the owner or the president of the company. No, there needs to be just one set of rules for the game that everyone plays by. Third rule of the game, make sure there's specific ways of winning the game without ending the game. We have to decide, what does winning look like? We talked a little bit about this in the first module about creating a vision for our business. What does winning look like? How do we go about winning? Favorite story on this particular rule is my youngest son, Carter, when he was 6, 7, 8 years old, used to love to play board games. Any board game, whether it was Monopoly, it was Risk, it was Don't Wake Daddy. That was one of my favorites. Life, all sorts of board games. Loved playing board games, and we would play as a family, or he'd play with his friends. And he got to where he enjoyed this so much that he began creating his own board games. Yeah, he'd set up a board, and he'd mark them off the spaces, and there'd be dice, there'd be a spinner, there'd be little tokens that we'd move around the board. He would invent his own board games, and I was oftentimes the victim, the participant in these games. And so we'd play these board games that Carter has made up, and we'd roll the dice, we'd spin the spinner, we'd move pieces around a board, and there'd be maybe dollars exchanged, whatever. And games seemed okay, but at some point, being the competitive person that I am, I would ask Carter, I'd say, Carter, how does one go about winning this game? What does winning look like? And he would look at me with kind of a blank stare and say, well, I haven't quite figured out that part yet. And it's for, again, a highly competitive person. I wanted to know how to win. Your employees are the same way. They want to know what winning looks like. How do we win this game? Have you explained winning to your employees? Make sure there's specific ways of winning the game before ending the game. Number 4, change the game from time to time. The tactics, not so much the strategy. The strategy should remain fairly consistent over time, but change the tactics, how we go about playing the game to make it interesting, to make it better. Change the game from time to time. Number 5, never expect the game to be self-sustaining. People need to be reminded of it consistently. We can't expect the game to just go on by itself, right? We have to remind our employees, our players, of why we're playing the game, how we're playing the game, what does winning look like, what are our strategies, what are our tactics. We need to reinforce that with our employees consistently, reminding them of all facets of the game. We can't just expect it's just going to continue by itself. Number 6, the game has to make sense. Sometimes we complicate our businesses, just like we complicate games sometimes. You and I have both played complicated games. And this was the problem with Carter's games, who I mentioned earlier. They were so complicated. I was always looking for ways to simplify the games. I'd get so frustrated playing these complicated games that sometimes they would just end. I would get up and walk away in frustration. And I think that's true in business. Sometimes we complicate our businesses and our employees get frustrated as well. The game has to make sense. Number 7, the game needs to be fun from time to time. We have to build fun, enjoyment into the game. It may not be that way naturally. So, as the owners, the CEOs of our company, we have to make sure our employees are having fun, that they're enjoying the experience of working for this company. The game needs to be fun. And finally, number 8, if you can't think of a good game, steal one. Borrow from others. You don't have to invent the game all the time. There are lots of very, very successful businesses, big and small, that we can take and pick and choose best practices, what's working, what's not working. We don't have to always create the game. There are very good games being played everywhere that we can study, that we can explore, pick and choose pieces that we want to apply to our own business. Can't think of a good game, steal one. These are the rules of the game.